Hello, everyone. Thank you for being here today. I'm excited to introduce our topic, why there are no happy marriages anymore, the truth about women today. In this presentation, we'll explore the psychological foundations that support lasting relationships and identify warning signs that reveal fundamental incompatibility. We'll keep it insightful and practical, so let's get started. Let's talk about the soulmate myth. For generations, society has romanticized this idea that among the 7 billion people on Earth, there is one perfect match, a destined soulmate just for us. It sounds magical, comforting, almost cinematic, right? But interestingly enough, decades of psychological research tell us that this idea is actually false. Soulmates aren't just found. They are built through effort, communication, and shared growth. Modern couples often forget this fundamental truth. Many love stories today start quickly, intense, passionate, and exciting, but then they can collapse under the weight of unrealistic expectations. We want deep connection without vulnerability, passion without sacrifice, and lifelong commitment without putting in the ongoing effort that truly sustains love. And as more relationships face difficulties and sometimes fall apart, the myth persists with the thought, maybe I just chose the wrong person. But the reality is, compatibility and lasting love aren't accidents. They're cultivated through shared values, emotional maturity, and continuous work. Without these elements, relationships, especially marriages, can gradually become strained and starve for connection. Finally, I want to introduce you to 8 psychological warning signs that indicate two people might be fundamentally mismatched. Recognizing these signs can help us understand why long-term happiness sometimes feels out of reach, and why the myth of the soulmate might be holding us back from building real, lasting love. Let's talk about warning sign 1. You can't be honest with each other. When honesty starts to feel dangerous or risky, it's a clear sign that the relationship is already on shaky ground. If you find yourself hiding your feelings just to avoid conflict, or softening your opinions to keep the peace, or concealing parts of your life because you're afraid of judgment or misunderstanding, these are all signs that you're not truly in a partnership. Instead, you're performing for each other. A relationship like that, where transparency is lacking, quickly loses its foundation of trust. And without trust, intimacy cannot truly thrive. So the key point here is that honesty isn't just about sharing facts, it's about creating a safe space where both people can be vulnerable. When honesty is compromised, so is trust, and ultimately the closeness you want to build. This slide is a reminder that openness and authenticity are essential for a healthy, lasting relationship. Let's talk about warning sign 2. You're stuck in an on-again, off-again cycle. Many people think that breaking up and then reconciling repeatedly means they're truly meant to be together. But often, it's quite the opposite. This cycle usually points to underlying issues like emotional immaturity, unresolved patterns, and a lack of genuine mutual stability. When we find ourselves returning to each other, it's not necessarily because we're compatible. Instead, it's often because the dysfunction feels familiar and comfortable, even if it's unhealthy. It's important to recognize that what we might think of as romance is actually repetition. These repeated breakups and reconciliations are signals that there's deeper incompatibility, not real connection. Over time, dysfunction becomes so familiar that it creates a false sense of belonging. We start to confuse the familiarity of chaos with comfort, which keeps us stuck in a cycle that prevents genuine growth. Understanding this pattern is crucial in breaking free and moving toward healthier relationships. Let's talk about warning sign 3. You share no real interests or passions. Now, love alone, as wonderful as it is, isn't enough to sustain a long-term relationship. If the only thing connecting you is the relationship itself, if you don't share hobbies, worldviews, or mutual passions, that connection can start to weaken over time. Psychological research actually shows that couples who have overlapping interests tend to stay bonded longer. Without those shared activities and passions, daily life can start to feel separate, conversations can become repetitive, and emotional distance can grow without us even realizing it. So, even when love is strong, nurturing common interests is crucial for maintaining a close and lasting bond. Let's talk about warning sign 4. Your social lives don't merge. Healthy couples, over time, naturally start to integrate their worlds: families, friends, communities. This process of blending social circles helps build a shared identity and strengthens the bond between you. But if neither of you is willing to participate in the other's social life, you end up living parallel lives, only occasionally intersecting. This kind of parallel living can seem harmless at first, but over time, it prevents the deep connection and shared experience that are so vital for a lasting relationship. When your social worlds remain separate, it creates a barrier to truly understanding each other and building intimacy. So, the key takeaway here is that merging your social lives is not just about social convenience. It's about fostering that shared identity and deeper bond that sustains a relationship long-term. On the flip side, keeping social worlds entirely isolated from each other can lead to emotional distance and a lack of connection. Ultimately, integrating your social lives helps create a more unified, resilient partnership. Let's talk about warning sign 5. You want different things in life. Sometimes, timing is actually more important than love itself. Two people can care deeply for each other, but if their life goals and priorities don't line up, true compatibility becomes a challenge. For example, one partner might crave adventure and new experiences, while the other seeks stability and routine. Or one might want marriage, while the other values their independence and freedom too much to settle down. And then there are situations where one person wants children, but the other doesn't see parenthood as part of their life. The key point here is that love alone can't fix these fundamental differences in life paths. Trying to force alignment, thinking love will somehow make it all work, only leads to resentment and frustration over time. It's essential to recognize that timing and priorities matter just as much as feelings. When your life goals are simply incompatible, even the strongest love may not be enough to sustain the relationship in the long run. Let's talk about warning signs 6 and 7 that can really threaten a relationship. The first is when the relationship is not a priority. Every relationship faces tests at some point, whether it's financial stress, illness, or family issues. These are the moments that reveal if your partner truly stands by you. If someone only shows up when it's convenient, or if neither partner is willing to make sacrifices, adapt, or put in real effort, then the connection tends to stay shallow. Remember, convenience is not the same as commitment. The second warning sign is when you don't meet each other's emotional needs. Love languages, attachment styles, and communication patterns all play a crucial role here. For example, if one person needs quality time but the other needs space, or if someone needs verbal affirmations but the partner expresses love through actions, these mismatches can build up over years. If emotional needs go unmet, love can quietly and slowly fade away. So, it's important to recognize these signs early, because neglecting them can lead to deeper disconnects down the line. Let's talk about warning sign 8. You have persistent doubts you can't shake. Now, intuition is rarely wrong. If from the very beginning you felt uncertain, anxious, or internally conflicted, those feelings are often more than just nerves. They can actually be signals of deeper incompatibility. And no, it's not just fear or insecurity. It's a subconscious awareness that something essential might be missing. You might try to ignore these doubts, rationalize them, or hope they'll go away. But the truth is, they rarely do. Those persistent doubts are important. They're your subconscious mind trying to tell you something. They signal deeper issues that logic alone might overlook. So, when you notice ongoing doubts, pay attention. They can reveal what your conscious mind might be avoiding or unable to see clearly. Recognizing these signs can help you make more informed decisions, aligning more authentically with what truly matters to you. Let's talk about a hard truth that often gets overlooked. Not every relationship is meant to last. Modern culture tends to tell us to fight for love, and while commitment is definitely important, there's a danger in fighting for the wrong relationship. When we do that, we can end up hurting both ourselves and our partner. A healthy relationship at its core should feel steady, transparent, and emotionally safe. It should add to our lives, not take away from them. It should bring out our best qualities, not trigger our survival instincts or create constant stress. Most marriages today don't fail because people chose the wrong partner. Instead, they fail because people expect the relationship to work without having the necessary psychological skills, the skills that actually make love sustainable over the long term. If you recognize some of these signs in your own relationship, maybe it's feeling more draining than uplifting, or there's a persistent lack of trust. Remember, it's not too late. You can reflect, rebuild, or in some cases, walk away. The priority isn't to protect the relationship at all costs, but to protect your emotional health, your future, and your capacity for real, meaningful love. Healthy marriages do still exist, but they require both people to be willing to grow, not just together, but individually as well. Because true love involves continuous growth, self-awareness, and mutual effort.